So today on the podcast, we have Darla Noble. I am excited for you guys to meet her and for this conversation. She is an author and a speaker, and she loves community. So we're going to be touching on these things today. So welcome, Darla.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It is always a pleasure to share what God places on my heart with others to hopefully inspire them to do somewhat the same as they feel led to do, or using their talents and gifts that God gives them. I'm just a little bit about me. I am a Missouri gal through and through, farm girl, now retired from farming. I have been married to my childhood sweetheart for almost 43 years. We have four children-in-law, and eight almost perfect grandkids, with the ninth one on the way this fall.
Fun.
Um, when I'm not writing or speaking, I will be playing in the dirt with my flowers or my vegetables, and my little miniature dachshund, Charlotte, is always by my side, including right now. Okay. When we were conversing back and forth through messaging about what I would like to share on the podcast, I was talking about how I'd like to share how to use your best self to make an impact in your community, and to create a community for yourself
Okay.
and for others. I grew up and spent the first many years of my life among the same people, the people who loved me as a child and mentored me in our church, um, loved and mentored our children as well. And then when my husband retired, he spent 30 years. We were farmers, but he spent 30 years in state law enforcement. We decided that it would be best to move elsewhere. Some health concerns for me and other things that happened. We decided to retire from farming and move to a different community that would put us closer to helping with my in-laws. He and his brothers needed to be there for them. And so we did. And it was kind of scary, but naive me at the age of 50 something thought that it was going to be exciting and wonderful, and just this whole new opportunity to minister to others and to love on others. And we would find this wonderful new church family, and and it really didn't happen that way. We found a church almost right away that we thought we would fit into well. And and I'm not gonna criticize or whatever, specifically, but we very quickly discovered that not having a history with people, that had never been a problem for us,
Uh-huh.
that they would be friendly at a distance, and they would be friendly, but they weren't looking. People our age were not looking for more friends. They
Mhm.
had their friends. They had the people that they had raised their children with. They had a history with. You didn't have your children to bring you together in a common denominator, like at school functions or sports or 4-H or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And it was hard and it was painful. I'm not going to lie, it was very painful. And we spent the first 10 or 11 years literally um, just praying and trying and putting ourselves out there and just getting so far and then not back. And we were trying to fit into this group of people because we thought that's what we needed to do.
Mhm.
Well, our youngest daughter is married to a Marine, and so they travel a lot.
Yeah.
And whenever they have when they have children, it inevitably Dwight has to leave and go away for quite a while soon afterwards. And my daughter has C-section, so the recovery time's different.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I was out west in California for a few months, helping her with postpartum recovery and homeschooling, and he was deployed and all that stuff. And they had this wonderful church out there. And, so for several weeks, we were going to church and yada, yada, yada. And I have developed relationship with so many of these people, and I just love the sense of community and the way in which they welcome me in. And the last Sunday I was there, I had just praying, Lord, I'm ready to go home and be with my husband again and everything, but I'm going to miss this. I am desperate. I am desperate. There were so many things going on back here within the church, and we were desperate.
Yeah.
And I was just practically in tears praying, waiting for church to start for something to happen. And the lady came out to play the prelude before the service started.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a traditional service. And she sat down, she started playing these old hymns, which I love, but she started playing one that I hadn't heard literally in 30 or 40 years, called Brighten the Corner Where You Are. I don't even know if you're familiar with that
I
song.
haven't heard it.
Okay, look it up, Google it or something.
Okay.
And it was like, hello, Darla, this is what I'm telling you, brighten the corner where you are. And it was just God telling me, quit trying to fit in to somebody's group. Make your own.
Mm.
Make your own community.
Yeah.
Well, in all that time, we had built where we first moved. When we moved down here, we left and we built a new house and in this new community, and all of these people kind of came together at the same time in these houses. And we'd been here a few years, and we, knew a few people. But I came home and I reached out to some of them and I said, I want you to come to my house this evening at this time for tea and dessert. And I have some things I want to run by you. And I just want to know if you would be interested in helping me. And so I sent 7 invitations and 6 said yes. One couldn't because she had a prior commitment with her church that evening.
Uh-huh.
And they came and I said, look, I'm tired of just being here and existing here. I want to live here. If this is where I'm going to spend the rest of my life, I need to live here. I need a community of people.
Yeah.
And there was this collective sigh of, oh, yes, yes,
Uh-huh.
And so we started talking about all the things we could do to come together as friends, to form friendships, to help our neighborhood become more cohesive, to be a light in our little tiny community. And I just want to tell you, it has blossomed into so many things simply because I listen to God say, brighten the corner where you are. Don't go looking to brighten somebody else's corner. You brighten your own.
I love that.
And 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 we have in that brought the neighborhood together. And I'm not going to say it's been some, happily ever after thing, because there's always going to be negative people. There's always going to be people that want nothing to do with it. They want to open the garage door, get in the car, get in as fast as they can, and shut the door as fast as they can. But we have adopted a nursing home that we reach out to and do things for. We have come together as a group of women. There's about 6 or 7 of us. We've actually grown to about 8 or 9 that get together every other week for coffee and just visiting. We have neighborhood events. Most recently, we handed out popsicles to the kids in the neighborhood just to celebrate the last day of school.
Oh, that's good.
We have been able to provide meals for people when they've had babies or when their spouse died. And we would have never even known Faye needed us when her husband got sick, for rides to the hospital, to take the dog out, to love her and come around her, had we not reached out. If we'd have just stayed and not brighten corners, we'd have never known these things. And I was recently very ill with some things and issues. And my husband had meals from these ladies. It was just amazing. And there again, had I not listened to God and said, brighten your corner, quit trying to shine your light in somebody else's. They've got their own light. Brighten your corner. It wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. And I think what you mentioned, how some people might shut their door and, try and avoid you or whatever, but that's okay because
Mm-hmm.
they'll probably have some other people that they can connect with or whatever.
Right.
You'll
That's
attract
right.
who will connect with you. And I love
Right.
how you just took that step of faith and just reached out. And those other people that came together with that
Mm-hmm.
first meeting are like, yes,
Yes.
someone's taking the lead on this, because they're probably just too shy to do it as well.
They were literally, they were like, we have been thinking about this too, but just didn't know where to start. And it was faith. It was a huge leap of faith. But I want to tell you, I have grown up in the church, and I have, had generations of examples of loving Jesus and serving Jesus and making him Lord and Savior of their life. So I know, it was a step of faith, but I am not embarrassed or ashamed to say it was desperate. I was desperate too, because I'm a people person, and my friends, my sisters in Christ, my two closest ones are, 150 miles away. And yeah, we talk all the time and we get to see each other once in a while, but you need community. You don't need,
Yeah,
we don't need this vast, number of people, but we need 5 to 10 people that we can count on us, and who can count on us right back, who we can count
right.
on, who can count on us right back. And I was desperate because I'd been 10 plus years without it, literally. And
Yeah, that is a long time. And maybe that in that desperation, I was just you finally heard what God was trying to get you to do and
mhm.
created something amazing. So
Right. And all of these pieces fell into place because, we would pray about it and we would open our home and we would do this and we would do that, but it just never quite took, and like I said, there were a lot of other things going on in all of that too. We discovered we didn't need to be in that particular church, and we, by nothing less and short of a God inspired, hey, this is where you need to be. We were we were able to become part of a church plant right here in our little community. And it was, a New Testament Christian church, just like we had been raised in. And, it just, all of these pieces fell into place, and God was saying, and that would never have come to be had I had not, the timing was just perfect.
yeah,
And I say, like you said, I am a writer. In one of my books, Jesus and Zinnias Make Me Smile, I use a lot of my gardening and experiences and stories to point out the characteristics God desires from us. And in one of the chapters, I talk about asparagus and how it takes time, a lot of
yeah,
time. If you know anything about gardening, it
yes.
takes years for asparagus to be, fruitful enough
Uh-huh.
to enjoy. And I equate that with God's timing. God's timing, oh, sometimes we have to wait, and it is so frustrating, and it is so,
It is.
oh, please hurry up. But it is never disappointing, and it is always worth the wait. And that's what we found in this.
That is so beautiful. And what took you to writing? Have you always been a writer? When did you start writing?
Um, yeah, I have always loved to write. I had an elementary school librarian who was way ahead of her time when it came to projects and involving kids and really investing in the kids. I mean, she just went above and beyond to make things fun and interesting for us. And she recognized in me that I loved nonfiction, that I loved. I've always written stories, and I am known to be a storyteller. If you read my books, I'm a storyteller. But I don't write, nor do I rarely read fiction, because my stories are told for a purpose. There is a takeaway, there is a lesson, there's a purpose. I want somebody to learn from my stories
Hmm.
and have something useful from it. And she saw that, and she would just point me in the right direction. And then in 6th grade, she chose myself and another girl and 2 boys in our class to take us a couple of hundred miles, well, yeah, about 150 miles away from home, to a university in Missouri up north for an author fest. And this was a day when we would be able to meet some children's authors, young adult, and have them talk to us and read some things from their books, and we would be able to get their books and get them signed and things like that. And one of those authors was the new and upcoming author, Judy Blume, whose
Oh,
book,
wow.
Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, had just been published pretty
Wow.
recently. And that was the day I knew someday that was going to be me. Now, it has never been on that scale, nor will it ever be. And I'm okay with
Never say
that.
never. Never say never.
Yeah, never say never. I know, I know. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, I just knew. And I have been writing. I had a junior high English teacher who fostered that in me as well, and a high school English teacher who kept that fire going. And and he and his wife, who was also one of my teachers, we are still friends, and he is still very supportive. They both are, of my work, and and things. So I had it was just there. It was just something God gave me, and I love it, and I use it hopefully to his glory and for his good and for the good of others. So,
That's beautiful. And how many books have you written?
well, under my own authorship, I have written one a historical nonfiction that is very near and dear to my heart. It's a memoir of a World War II soldier
Oh, neat.
from Missouri. It's a very special, like I said, near and dear to me. And then I've written 4 devotionals for moms and grandmas, and people in general, but mainly moms and grandmas. And then 2 character educational, fun educational books for kids. But then I'm also a ghostwriter and curriculum writer. So oodles and oodles and oodles of things of that nature, primarily Bible studies, devotionals, sermon series. A lot of preachers have paid me to turn their sermon series into small group studies.
Okay.
Um, the memoir book, people have read that, and across the world, literally, and have contacted me and said, we want to do this same thing with what we found in grandma's attic, or my mom and dad's things when they passed away that we never knew we had. We don't want to publish. We just want to pass these treasures on in a tangible way to our family so they know who and where they come from. And
Uh-huh.
so I've been honored. I mean, so honored to tell so many stories similar to George's, um, for families. And that is so incredibly humbling, but really fun.
Yeah, there's a joy in that.
Yes, there
Those-
is. Yes, there is.
keep those memories going in those.
Right, right.
So have you ever done a book club with your group? Do you guys do book clubs?
Um, we we try we tried to start one, but the the readership is so diverse that everyone and and then um and then COVID hit.
Uh-huh.
And so then it was kind of well, I should say COVID hit because we were kind of in the middle of COVID when all of this was going on when I started this thing,
Oh.
but we kind of had a resurgence in this part of our state.
Mhm.
And so people kind of got leery of it,
Oh,
um, because of other health issues that they had with their
right.
spouses and things like that. And so I have seriously contemplated just coming together as a group and saying, "Hey, let's not read a book. Let's just come together and give each other 5 minutes to tell what they've been reading recently."
That's a good
And
idea.
so inspire people maybe to reach out and and things like that. Because I think because I have spoken at several book clubs, and honestly, I find that more often than not, people say, well, I tried to get into this book or that book, or the book we just read was really good, but I this book was going to be too it was going to hit home too hard. Or at first I didn't think I was going to like it, so I just started skimming through it, and then I decided, okay, I'd go back and read it. Or when people were talking about certain books, I don't like that genre, so I'm not going to read it. Or I only like fiction, or I only like nonfiction. So, it's kind of I don't know, angsty to me to, put that much pressure on someone. So I think, if we just come together and share what we've been reading,
Mhm.
that's a good way to communicate and not make anybody feel um, pressured or put on the spot or something like that. So,
Yeah, and then you can learn from each other's different
yes, you can.
perspectives
Yeah,
and
yes, you can.
different
So,
genre stuff.
right,
Yeah.
right.
What are some tips from your experience that you could give somebody to, reach out and create that community that for themselves?
Um, First of all, don't be afraid to take that first step. And I would encourage people, if you're part of an HOA, use that. Don't just consider your HOA, which is homeowners association.
Uh,
Um, just don't look at it as just something you have to pay your dues to, and keep your dumpster in the garage or something like that. Use it as a sense of community. Use it to help you develop knowledge of who your neighbors are. Reach out to the officers and get involved and tell them, hey, I would like to invite everybody in the neighborhood to a gathering in my driveway or around, my fire pit, or if there is a common area in your neighborhood, like we have some, to gather to have watermelon and visit and hang out, or get the kids, use the kids in the neighborhood as a drawing card, like the whole popsicle thing, or trick or treating, depending on where you live and the weather, of course, have everybody gather in a common area for a mini trunk or treat, or a lawn chair, thing to bring their lawn chairs and let the kids, parade around in their costumes. Or, we have a yearly now bike parade for the kids where they go through the neighborhood, they decorate their bikes in red, white, and blue, and then we end up in the common area, have watermelon, and watch our fireworks, the little community's fireworks display, which we can see perfectly from where everybody lives, there, and we visit. But use the kids, I'm not going to be ashamed to say that. Use your kids. It's for a good cause.
Right.
If you don't have an HOA, or if you are more rural, or if you're in an apartment, you know, just start a book club. Okay. Yeah. Start a book club or have a potluck. I have a cousin who, he sent out invitations to, there's no HOA. It's an older neighborhood, but he said, I have, you know, a whole bunch of, um, potatoes that I need to use before they go bad. And I'm grating them up and I'm making hash browns and scrambled eggs and bacon. So I want to invite everybody over for breakfast on this morning. And he put little invitations on every door in his neighborhood. And he's a real friendly guy. And so, he walks and he would speak to everybody. So it's not like they thought he was some weirdo, that they had never seen. They all knew who Matthew was, or for the most part they did. Now, I think out of about 20 houses, people from like 7 showed up,
Uh-huh.
but that's okay.
Yeah.
That is okay because those 7 are now doing some things together. Okay.
That's right.
If you have people in your neighborhood who have a new baby, a little gift, or a gift card for pizza or something to give them a night to where they don't have to cook or something is never in bad taste, never out of order. Things like that. I thin out some of my perennials
Mhm.
and I put them in the driveway, and I post on our neighborhood Facebook page, free iris, free coneflowers, free this, free that, come get them. But I
Awesome.
put them in a little bag and I put a little card with a scripture verse on it. Whether they read it or not is up to them, but they get the free flowers. And then they a lot of them Facebook, on the HOA page, say thanks for this and that, or hey, can you tell me how deep I should plant these, or something like that, so that so it just the little things, just the little
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I like that because then even with your sharing the plant, it creates that more communication,
It does. It
just opens
does.
the door. So
It does, and that's what it's all about. You open the door,
yeah.
and leave it up to them to walk through. And those that do will be a blessing to you, and you will be a blessing to them. And those that don't, they're not going to forget it. I mean, they're not going to forget it, and they may not want to be a part of things, so to speak,
Mhm.
but they'll be more apt to say hello. They'll be more apt um to respond to things. Like I said, we adopted that nursing home, and so we made trick or treat bags. There's like 80 residents there. And so my friends and I made little trick or treat bags for them. And um and so I put out on the Facebook, on a neighborhood Facebook page, I said, "Hey, look, some of us are making little trick or treat bags for the nursing home residents at the nursing home." And it's just like less than 2 miles from our little neighborhood. So, everybody knows where it's at. And I said, "I'm putting a box on my front porch. If you would like to contribute non-chocolatey things," because some of them have, diabetic restrictions and food restrictions. I said, "Nothing with nuts and no chocolate, and nothing too chewy, no fruit snacks for them. Um, you know, please feel free to deposit it in the box, and it'll be here from this time to this time. My box overfloweth." Okay, I have no idea who a lot of the people were, but it was a lot of them, and so they don't want to be real close, but they want to be part of things on their terms.
Yeah.
And that is just fine. That is just fine because um, they may have a community of close friends. They may not need to be enlarge their community of close friends. And that's great too. I'm glad for them. Um,
But
but
there
they
is
can,
that sense of you have that other community, like even just to know your neighbors. There's,
yes,
something is to
yes,
happen. You to know them and you feel comfortable in
right,
your space.
right, right. And the people around you, if I wouldn't hesitate, and now they wouldn't hesitate if we were gone for a few days and somebody strange showed up in our driveway and noticed our house open. They wouldn't hesitate to call or text and say, "Hey guys," just or something, or go over and say, "Can we help you?" And that sort of thing. And so it's valuable. We need to know our neighbors. I'm not a huge country music fan, more older stuff, but there's a song back from the 90s maybe. "If the world had a front porch like we did back then, we'd still have our problems, but we'd all be friends."
Yeah.
Is a line from that song. And it's true. We need to be visible and aware of each other, and at least have that just that surface, if nothing else, relationship of, "Hi, how are you?" and recognize each other and not be afraid to, or not feel awkward about saying, "Can I help you? Do you
Hmm.
need something? Hey, would you mind to get my mail for 2 or 3 days while I'm gone?" So that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. I love your energy and that you've created this community. I bet they love having you in their community.
well, we do. We love each other. We really,
Yeah.
really do. And my point in wanting to share this with everyone is not to say, "Hey, look what I'm doing," or "In the school," or whatever. I want other people to be willing to take that risk, because it is a little bit of a risk. But I want people to be willing to do that, because we were not created to live life alone.
Right.
God created us to be communal. He created us to be relational. I mean, how many days into it was he after he created Adam? "It's not good that he's all by himself. I got to do something to fix this." And so he did. And it was not good that we were alone. John and I felt very alone, aside from our kids and our friends from miles away.
Yeah.
And And it was, we needed community. We all do. And so I want to inspire people to do that. And I also want um, to urge people to take a look at themselves in the mirror. And I want you to really ask yourself, are you making people feel welcome?
Mm.
Are you letting people who come to you, who reach out to you, are you reaching back out to them? Are you loving them the way Jesus loves you? Are you doing what you can to be a good neighbor? Are you doing what you can to love others and treat others as you want to be treated? Um, because we need to.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Darla, for sharing everything
Oh,
you
you are
have. This has been
welcome.
such a delight to talk to you. Can you tell people where they can connect with you?
Yes, you can connect with me on Facebook. Now, I did the whole author page for years, and it just got to be too much. So just look me up, Darla Noble, and just send me a friend request and a little message saying, "Hey, I saw you on the podcast," or whatever, and we're good. You can also find my website, D Noble, Noble, Writes, WRITES.com. Um, you can email me at dnoblewrites@yahoo.com. And let's just connect. I'm on Twitter under D Noble Writes. There's kind of a pattern there. If you look up Darla Noble on YouTube, I've got a whole plethora of things. Some of them, a lot of them are me reading children's books because I read to all my grandkids when the school shut down. I read a bunch of books to them to give mamas a break.
That's fun.
I've got some things, some videos from my Please Pass the Memories book that a lot of people, moms and grandmas, enjoy listening, watching, and learning from. Just different things like that, other podcasts. My website has other podcast links and all my books, links to my books and to my blog. It's on there too. And just, all sorts of way. And I love to reach out and communicate with my listeners and my readers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'll leave all those things in the show notes as well. So people can
Okay,
find
great, great.
them.
And if I am one of those weird people that love to share with others, an audience is, it can be 10, it can be 1,000, and I love it. So if you women's ministry, youth ministry, just book clubs, I do Zoom book club question answers, that sort of thing. If you need a speaker or just want to connect that way, reach out to me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Darla.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Thank you for having me.